Good morning and welcome. Yeah, it's that time once again, the Patriot Radio News Hour, where volatility is king. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592, legal, lawful, constitutional tender. The website at allamericangold.com, and we're coming up on the end of March. It's also the end of the first quarter of our metals program. If you are not in that program, what's the matter with you? I'm just kidding. Why not really? You should be. It's the best metals program in the business. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go out to All American Gold, read up on the metals program. You can start, we want to make it available to everybody. We want everybody to have the opportunity to get ready. And here's the realities. The realities are it's hard for most people. Hey, I live paycheck to paycheck, or I live really close to paycheck to paycheck. It's hard for me. This is what we created this program for. You leave a credit card on file, debit card, whatever it may be. We take Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. You can start with as little as $100 a month. At the end of every quarter, we pool all the money, and we make one mass buy, which allows us, as you know, hey, when you buy in volume, you get discounts. Right? And Patriot's no different. When I buy in volume, I get discounts. And we pass those discounts on to you at the end of every month, or at the end of every quarter when we do this. If you're in the metals plan, you are paying the lowest price possible for that particular time in that event, and it's 4 deliveries a year. Okay, so you get 4 physical shipments a year. You get your gold, you get your silver. There is no maximum. You can do as much as you like. Like I said, we got a lot of people doing $100 a month, $200, $300. We got people doing $2,000 every month, and everything in between. You decide. You get 4 physical deliveries a year. And here's the other best part: there's no setup fees. There's no fees. I mean, the only thing you get charged is shipping, and just so you know, especially you people at the lower end, and you guys know this, we bring the shipping cost way down for those lower ones, but it's the post office. You know how it is; they charge for everything, but nonetheless, there is no fees. You can start it, stop it, do whatever. You increase the amount, lower the amount, and I will tell you. People that are in this plan really, they are just elated, because I can't tell you how many customers, hey, I had an unexpected bill, I need to take this month off, or I need to take this quarter off, and then they call and they start back up again. There's no fees whatsoever. You can start it and stop it at any time. We get it. Life's hard. But we want to give you the opportunity to be able to start putting things away. So if you're interested in the metals plan, we got a brand new quarter starting in April, so it's always a good time to start. If you need more information, give Wendy a call at 800-951-0592, and everyone get ready. We'll be shipping those metals plans out starting probably next week. Early part of next week. Oh, as another note, Ramon reminded me, Friday, it's Good Friday. There will be no show on Friday. So we won't have a show in Colorado or Phoenix on Friday due to Good Friday. If I forget, I'm getting older. I've been forgetting stuff lately. An early Happy Easter. So Easter's on Sunday, and then so what is it? Opening day for Major League Baseball, right? That's what on Thursday, and all the snowbirds and everybody leaves, and then we turn on the heat here in the Valley of the Sun. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. 800-951-0592. I did see this, a new job out there. Yeah, you can rent a mom. Yeah, for $40 an hour. If you have a bad mom out there and you need a mom, there's a website out there now. You can get motherly advice for $40 an hour. I saw it. It was on. I forget which site I was on where I saw this rent a mom, and it's $40 an hour, and they don't do babysitting, and they're not a maid. Apparently, you can't call your rent-a-mom up and say, hey, can you come over and watch the grandkids? But if you need some advice, I just wanted to let you know that that's out there. If you need financial advice, you know the number to call, 800-951-0592. Yesterday, the Dow was up 600 points. Well, it was kind of a bounce back. As they do the trade war, no trade war, trade war, no trade war. It's almost comical. Today, right now, and I say right now because it's still very, very, very early in the day. The Dow is up 200 on top of yesterday's move. Gold profit-taking today in gold. The dollar, which was getting ready to break through 88, got a little, I'll call it a one-day reprieve. I don't think it'll, as a matter of fact, okay, the dollar's already coming way back in. It went from 89.04 to 89.63. It's now back to 89.33. But they used that for a nice profit-taking day. Good time to get in. Good time to get in. Got some silver opportunities when we get back. $800-951-0592. And don't forget now, Colorado, you don't have to pay for shipping ever again. If you want to call up and place your orders, you can now pick up your products in our second location up there in Johnstown on the Front Range at the KHNC studios. I got to tell you what, if you haven't been there, you got to go check it out. You know what? Just go in to look at the vault there. The safe that we have there is worth the trip. But keep that in mind. When you're calling now from Colorado, if you want to have us allow you to pick it up there at the studios, just let us know. We're going to ask you anyway, but you can let Wendy know. That'll always be helpful. Yesterday, something really big happened. They don't want to act like it's big. Right? You didn't hear the idiot box make a huge deal about it, but yesterday China launched those crude oil contracts in its own currency. This was out of the Financial Post, talking about the launch. According to UBS Asset Management, this is the biggest single change in capital markets, maybe of all time. And remember, we've spent the last few days talking about the initiative that China is currently under in wanting to dominate from the Atlantic shores of Europe to the Pacific shores of Asia. The final tally, the first 62 million barrels of crude traded hands. Much, I'll say this, that was much bigger than anybody expected. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised because the Financial Post put some of the pieces of the puzzle together for us that even I didn't see. Saudi Aramco, for those of you that don't know, and I haven't talked about it, and probably shame on me, right? Because, it's hard. You only get an hour. But Saudi Aramco, they are going to go public. The company, by estimates, at $80 crude. Right now, the crude that the Saudis get is about $70. They don't have the light sweet, but their crude oil about $10 from now would have a market cap estimated to be $2 trillion. But you think about Amazon and Apple and who's going to be the first to $1 trillion. Saudi Aramco, and again, I don't know all the data, but somewhere around $2 trillion of market cap at $80 oil. They were supposed to list on the New York Stock Exchange, right? They're supposed to list here. Last week, they made the announcement that they would not be listing in the United States, and instead they were going to be listing their stock in their own country, in the Saudi Arabian Stock Exchange. The Financial Post last night said that China has put in an offer to buy 5% of Saudi Aramco. So you start to see why all of a sudden, now wait a minute, this makes perfect sense. We're not going to list on the New York Stock Exchange. China's going to launch crude oil contracts in its own currency. And now, according to the Financial Post and UBS, China wants to become a major stockholder. Unipec, the trading arm of Asia's largest refiner, Sinopec, and remember these guys, this is a name they wanted to buy. I forget which U.S. refiner they were trying to buy. They were trying to buy one of the U.S., and I know we nixed it, and I just remember that name. It's a name I haven't heard in a while. Has inked a deal with a Western oil major to buy Mid-East crude priced against the newly launched Shanghai crude futures contract. Now, I don't know if it's Saudi Aramco, but I got a good idea that it may be. It says this is going to cement the exchange viability and challenges the petrodollar system in which all oil trades have been executed in dollars. Of course, we know this, right? We know China's now the number one importer of crude oil. But what we didn't know now is how big this was going to be. The fact that they say that, oil demand in China, right, we're nowhere near the top, right? They expect another 30% increase in oil demand over the next 20 years. This power will let China bypass the petrodollar system and demand that its oil purchases be priced in its own currency. And based on the Unipec deal, it is even more likely in deals in which China has outside leverage that they are going to demand that all oil contracts be traded in their own currency, and that they've made an offer to buy 5% of Saudi Aramco. This is huge. Now you start trying to put pieces of the puzzle together, right? So we know China's a major gold buyer, right? And we know nobody actually believes that they aren't adding to their gold stockpiles. When you look at the numbers from China, they're like, the Chinese consumer's buying a lot of it, but they're not buying all of it, even though China says that they're not. We know that the Russians have become one of the largest buyers of gold in the world, right? And I would say the largest, but I think China's buying more than them. And as of their new total now, they're fifth and sixth. Of course, we don't believe China, right? We actually, if you're asking me, and I think if you really asked anybody, China's probably the second largest gold holder in the world, hopefully behind the United States. Then you got, the IMF's in there, Germany's in there, Italy, France, and now Russia, which is getting ready to surpass 2,000 metric tons. But this was out of zero hedge. And for those of you that don't know Zero Hedge, Tyler Durden, as his name moniker goes by, is one of the most reliable sources of information as far as I'm concerned in the world. If this guy's putting it out, he's got the data to back it up. And this morning he was talking about Russia and its gold reserves and asking the question, why? What's the reason? It has seen the U.S. dollar dominate as the global currency and is now working with China to end the U.S. Western currency supremacy. Their strategy appears to be working. Right, just look at yesterday's results. Russia and China are in the midst of rumors of introducing a gold-backed futures to circumvent the dollar. Now, it's a rumor. I don't know. Right? I'm not saying yes, this is definitely going to happen, but it does make sense. The U.S. dollar has no gold backing and hasn't since 1933. And the U.S. has not increased its gold reserves for, probably since, 1970s, right? They were only right? We were in decrease mode until we are going to run out. Speculation of Russia and China working on a gold-backed currency. A shift in monetary power from the West to the East. It seems ambitious, doesn't it? But not when you really start thinking about how big China's become. And now you have to think about it this way. Is this going to be their answer to when the dollar falls? The situation between the East and the West exacerbated by recent tensions, right? We got Russians, right? The Russians are out killing their old spies or the enemies of their state. And just yesterday, the Trump administration, we kicked out 60 more Russian diplomats. And of course, the trade war that they say it's over. It's not over. Don't be fooled. China's not laying down. Of course, I guess the Kremlin, they're of poisoning people. More important, Russia continues to lower their national debt. Of course, we know what the United States is doing, and at least on Zero Hedge, there's speculation now. And these rumors have been going around for a while, is they're looking at creating a new global currency that will be gold-backed. Not only is Russia a significant player in gold, it's also now the third largest gold producer. You know who's number one? Just, little Jeopardy question. The number one gold producer in the world is China. Russia is now number 3. During the past decade, Russia has mined more than 2,000 metric tons of gold and is expected to increase by 400 tons by 2030. If Russia and China established a 100% gold-backed currency, it inevitably changes the game completely for the West. The dollar will continue to devalue at a rapid rate. And listen, I think that's headed up here anyway, whether it's gold-backed or whether it's simply, hey, we're going to use the Chinese currency as the new main currency of the world. I don't know if it matters much. I think it helps. I think it would help if they came out and said, oh, by the way, here's how much gold we really got. Right? I think that would help people a great deal. And it's something where the more these pieces fit together, the more interesting it gets. So we announced this trade war, seemingly really kind of out of nowhere. Right? We had the steel tariffs that weren't against China, and then, of course, we ended up giving everybody a hall pass. Then we announced these things. We still have not seen it. Matter of fact, the Trump they haven't even said what it is that they're going to put the tariffs on yet. But somehow, it's over. It's not. At the same time, China starts trading in oil futures contracts. At the same time, Saudi Arabia announces that the initial public offering for Saudi Aramco will not be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. At the same time, China's largest oil refiner announces a major oil deal with an unnamed company in the Mideast and offers to buy 5% of Saudi Aramco. Now the gold-backed currency news. Patriot Radio News Hour.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, presenting a daily conservative perspective since 1983, continuing the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. And now, from the archives of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, here is Phyllis Schlafly.
Mainstream economists have been stuck for years in the notion that any attack on free trade is heresy. But finally their dogma is cracking. Even the Washington Post acknowledges that trade liberalization with China is a big reason for the decline of U.S. manufacturing jobs. Forbes magazine published an article titled, "America's Manufacturing Crisis, Finally Harvard Gets It." What academics finally get is that it is indeed a disaster for America to lose our manufacturing base, specifically because that causes us to lose our ability to innovate. A manufacturing base is essential for national security. We could not have won World War II without it. Our manufacturing base was what enabled what was called the Arsenal of Democracy in 1944 to produce a warplane every 5 minutes, 150 tons of steel every hour, and 8 aircraft carriers a month. After World War II, our manufacturing base caused an incredible rise in our standard of living, bringing electricity and indoor plumbing to most homes, and good wages that built a middle class to enable blue-collar workers to support a full-time homemaker to raise their children. We've been told that the new normal is for America to be an economy based on providing services instead of products. The trouble is, it's pretty hard to export services such as waiters and dry cleaners. We can only export things we make. The main defect with free trade is that, in the words of the old cliche, it takes two to tango, and Communist China just won't dance. China protects and subsidizes its home industries and products, forces foreign-owned plants to give China their patents and trade secrets, cheats us with shoddy and dangerous exports, manipulates its currency to keep it artificially low, operates a large network of technology spies in the United States, and pays slave labor wages to its own workers.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. In 2016, the conservative movement lost one of our strongest leaders, but Mrs. Schlafly's work and her voice continue through this radio program, our work in Washington, and the influence you have in your own community. Be part of that legacy at phyllisschlafly.com. We encourage you to bookmark phyllisschlafly.com and join us again for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
800-951-0592. I don't believe this pullback's going to last. I don't even know if it'll last the rest of the day. So here's what's happening. Right now, silver $16.50. For the next 15 cents, You can buy backdate rolls at $3.85. A roll of 20 on U.S. Silver Eagles, 2018s at $3.95. If silver gets back to even, I'm gonna add $5 a roll to that. But at least for right now, silver's down 15 cents, $16.50. U.S. Silver Eagles $3.85 for backdates. $3.95 for 2018s. Gold's down 10. It was down 16. Both gold and silver were down quite a bit more than this, but like I said, the dollar, you call it a rally, with a relief rally, profit taking, whatever word you want to use, is about over. U.S. $20 Liberties and Saints, $1,400, and you get to pick it. 800-951-0592. Colorado, I know Jason's been scheduling appointments. If you're waiting, don't worry. He'll be calling. The business has been fantastic there. Thank you very much. If you want to pick these up, if you're in Colorado, you want to pick your product up there, you can save on the shipping charge. But everything works the same. You order here. You handle all of your business here in Phoenix, and then you can pick up your products in Colorado. You save on the shipping cost, and unlike other people, you won't have to pay the sales tax at 800-951-0592. Now, think about what we talked about today. We talked about the oil contracts and how important that is, because it means that people don't have to buy as much U.S. debt, right? That's number one. Number two, now we find out that China and what appears to be Saudi Aramco are in cahoots together, and now the rumors swirling again about a Russian-China gold-backed currency with the number 1 and number 3, and it looks like if what I read today is true, and then sometime within the next 12 years, Russia and China will be the 2 largest gold producers in the world, and neither one of them exports. Right? They're net consumers, right? Especially with all the central bank buying that's been going on. All of this at the same time, the United States needs to sell record levels of debt. This week alone, $294 billion needs to be auctioned off by the United States. If they had to do that every single, that'd be over $15 trillion. You see how big it's getting. It's the highest level for a week since the heart of the financial crisis. Federal revenue is declining, right? We know, right, the tax cuts. At the same time, Washington's borrowing cost has been growing rapidly. Now it's going to get even bigger with the omnibus bill. At the same time, right, interest rates are rising, which means the interest paid makes the debt bigger. At the same time, the Federal Reserve is trying to get rid of some of its debt, which means that interest rates are going to rise faster because they need a bigger bribe to get more people to buy it. At the same time, the Chinese are giving the rest of the world another reason not to buy. The amount of debt coming to the market week in and week out is now extremely large, according to BlackRock. Well, that's nice, right? I mean, you guys have been there the whole time. I don't see you guys going the BlackRock's on the idiot box like every week. I don't see them making big statements there. The government is auctioning all this short-term and longer-term debt at an awkward time. Of course, talking about imposing on China, right? That's another one of the worries, right? China could say, hey, we're not going to be holding or buying any more U.S. debts. China trimmed holdings of U.S. debt by about 2% just since from December to January. Matter of fact, I can update this a little bit because they just dropped their holdings again last month in February. We rely on international investors in Asia for a good deal of our Treasury funding, said BlackRock. And it's something that a lot of eyes are focused on now. Guy Labasse, chief fixed income strategist for Janney Capital, says that I'm not worried about China, quote unquote, abandoning U.S. debt. However, one of the worries is the amount of debt that has to be issued is tremendously high. I mean, really think about what's happening now. Where do you think the logical outcome is? Is the logical outcome going to be, hey, you know what? We've seen the error of our ways, and we're going to start, balancing the budget deficit. Could you imagine? I mean, by next year, you're going to have numbers close to $2 trillion. So you think about how is it that we're going to be able to come up with, an extra $2 trillion. And you sit in there and you're starting to think about what really is likely. What's more likely is the debts are going to keep climbing. Right? They're going to keep climbing, and they talk about entitlements, right? Social Security, Medicare, on top of, military spending and all the other spending that continues to go on as we run these massive government deficits. Interest rates are rising. It's something we haven't seen. Think about this. We haven't been in a true interest rate rising environment since we decided in the late 80s to blow up the deficits. And the most likely outcome is double, triple, quadrupling the size of the debt auctions that need to take place. And doesn't it really stand to reason why it is that the rest of the world is so eager to find an alternative to the U.S. dollar? Doesn't that make sense? Remember why you buy gold, to hedge yourself against the dollar. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. The Nasdaq's just gone negative. The Dow's still up about 100 points. Gold only down $9, $13.46. Silver is now down 12 cents at $16.53. U.S. Silver Eagles for the next 12 cents or so, $3.85 a roll. And I've spent enough time telling you the gold to silver ratios. Again today, 81.5 ounces. It's an absolute buy on the silver markets. Rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles, $3.85 for the back dates, $3.95 for 2018. And I wouldn't be shocked if sometime in the next week or so, that's the only thing you can buy. So if you want to get silver and you want to pay less, today's a great day to do it. U.S. Silver Eagles, back dates $3.85, 2018's $3.95. U.S. $20 Liberties and Saints. So I'm not going to shout, I'm not going to yell, I'm not going to scream. I'm just simply telling you, what do you think is the most likely outcome? What, that we're going to rack up $40 trillion in debt and nobody's going to do anything? Or is the most likely outcome that the Russians and the Chinese are getting together, and possibly with the Saudis? Because, remember, we don't even import oil from Saudi Arabia. Are working together to help themselves diversify away from U.S. dollars. And are you going to do something about it or not? That I don't know. But $20 Liberties and Saints, either or. $1,400. And you know what? Same thing. Same rule applies for the next $9 or so. And then they're going to go back up to regular pricing at 800-951-0592. A lot of the information out today. $294 billion in a single week was how much debt the United States had to sell. Then you start thinking about what's happening and going to happen. Now, think about that. That's every week now. Really. It'll fluctuate $5 or $10 billion here or there, but this time next year, we're going to be, what, 310? $310 billion a week? $320 billion a week? The year after that, what are we going to be, $350, $360 billion a week? The year after that, what are we going to be, $500 billion a week? And you start to get the picture of, man, this isn't going to last much longer. And all of these things, like I said, I guess it could be coincidence, right? Right as the U.S. debt is spiking, right as the U.S. debt is spiking, China's launching crude oil contracts in their own currency. Saudi Aramco is going to list, but not on the New York Stock Exchange. China's offering to be a 5% stakeholder, just announced a major refining deal with an unnamed Mideast country, and the Russians are buying all the gold they can get their hands on. Yeah, it could be a coincidence. And a monkey can fly out of my backside, but, it's really depends on where you want to be on this. We can live in fantasy land, and we can put our head in the sand, and you can pretend that it's not happening, right? Or you can do something about it. That's really it. All we can do is prepare, right? Because it's not a maybe, it's not an if, it's a win. And the win gets closer every single day. And these numbers now are ridiculous. Think about it. I remember when $350 billion was a big budget deficit for a year. Right? We racked up over $200 billion in February alone. February's only got 28 days in it. There was big news yesterday. We didn't get to it about the bankruptcy filing from Remington, right? From the gun manufacturer. The Wall Street Journal actually wrote a pretty good piece, and then Wolf Richter wrote an even better one talking about the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corp and how Remington is dumping a lot of their pension plans there, and that Remington had bought several other firearms manufacturing and put them into the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corp, Marlin Firearms, in 2008. And now, I didn't know this, but Cerberus Capital Management, remember those guys? They acquired Bushmaster's Firearm International in a leveraged buyout in 2006. In 2007, it actually acquired Remington. Later put them under a holding company called Freedom Group that also acquired other firearms manufacturers, doing what they call a classic roll-up of the firearms industry, right? Again, right? Gobble them all up. There's only one game in town. And now, according to the bankruptcy filing, they're going to be dumping all of the pensions into the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corp. Well, isn't that nice? You know what? That's code word for taxpayer. And, of course, all of those people are now going to get, maybe 75%. I don't even know. I don't have the exact numbers, but they're going to take a huge pay cut to the pensions that they were promised. Not surprised. Cerberus behind it all. Remember John Snow, the former Treasury Secretary, the snow job, as we used to call him. He went, when he was done doing the snow job on all of us, he went to work there. 800-951-0592. Final segment coming up. Final segment on a Tuesday. I don't know a lot about it yet, but this is the third article I've seen about a Tesla maybe in some trouble here. Rumors starting to swirl that Tesla may have to file bankruptcy. I don't know. They seem to be able to sell stock, just create stock out of thin air. But that seems to be hitting, at least today. Tesla bonds are spreading, which is one of those early indications of a possible bankruptcy. But they just paid Elon Musk another ridiculous amount of money. But as I learn more, if I see more about it, if I get more concrete details, I'll pass it along to you. Of course, that's another one of the taxpayer-funded subsidies of why we're running all of these budget deficits. Final look here into the market. Gold's down 9, 13.46. Silver's down 12.11 now, 16.54. The Nasdaq's negative. The S&P looks like it's about ready to go negative, and now the Dow's about up 120. Was up about 220 when we started the show. Rolls of U.S. Silver Eagles 385 for back dates, 395 for 2018s, and then U.S. $20 Liberties and Saints. You picked it at $1,400 at 800-951-0592. Don't forget about the metals program. April's going to start a new quarter. Those of you that are in it, we're going to start shipping metals programs. We'll start shipping all next week. Friday, we are closed. There will be no show on Friday for Good Friday. I wanted to make sure I get that out there as well. So on Friday, you're going to be on your own. So if you want to get business done, you got till Thursday, or you're going to have to wait until after Easter. And I just think today's a great day. We had some profit taking. We had a dollar recovery that kind of faded. And now we're kind of waiting and seeing is there going to be what's going to go on with China? Is there going to be a trade war or not? And here's the funny thing. We're already at a trade war. We've just been losing. And then, of course, Facebook, which according to the numbers I'm seeing, Facebook was making $400 million a year selling everyone's data. Isn't that special? 800-951-0592. Get yourself prepared. Right? We know what's happening. Too many things that you are like, okay, that's not a coincidence. And, of course, I've been saying this is planned. This is part of the plan. This is what the globalists want, right? You got to take down the richest companies, give it to the poorest, and kumbaya and all that other great stuff. And of course, what we end up here is we're going to end up holding the bag on our debt. Protect yourself, hedge yourself against the dollar. Take the time, put the gold and the silver away. At 800-951-0592. Colorado, don't forget now, you can pick up your product at the studios. If you've been buying from the local coin stores, you don't have to do that anymore. Call us. We'll take care of you. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. It's a Hump Day Wednesday tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.